Dawn of the Zeds. This is your review for 2. Good day, my name is Joe Gerba. Today I'll be going over Dawn of the Zeds and how it plays with 2 players. Now Dawn of the Zeds is a 1 to 5 player game, where it's almost like a turret defense style game, except instead of the turrets, you have these heroes in town and these civilians in town trying to protect the town center from these 4 or 5 tracks that these zombies are going to be moving toward. And hopefully you can get this event deck to the end before your town gets overrun. Now I'll see a little bit more how to play. Now in Dawn of the Zeds, you're going to have 4 characters out there, so you can kind of either split it up, or if there's just one person, play all of them, and you'll get an action for your own personal action. But most of the game, you'll be relying on this event deck. So this kind of drives how many turns are in the game. So it's variable setup depending on the level you're going to play. You're going to set up the event deck, turn the card over, and then it's going to say what you're going to do for that that day, that period, that time frame. You know, it's going to be, and is anybody going to retreat? The threat, is anybody going to turn into zombies? You need to eat, deciding what track they're going to move on, maybe an event, and then the players get to do their action. Now, this is one part about that game is it's super event deck driven, where the enemy's just going to move, you know, into town, and then you're going to get your actions for the turn. And your actions for the turn, you can try to fend off, rolling some dice, using some ammo, trying to wound these zombies, all while not trying to get hit and not trying to be, you know, infected yourself. So each character is going to have their own little card, and remember there's 4 out there plus a couple special civilians and civilians making their last stand. But really it's a thematic game that's super event driven. This is kind of a Ameritrash, you know, where you got the event deck, you got your dice rolling, you're using your ammo, super thematic kind of game where when the zombies move, they're going to be moving closer to the track while you try to fend them off. There's a lot of nuanced rules in this game. I don't want to really go over them now, but as you wound these zombies, you flip them over, and then as you wound them again, this is a little bit weaker when you flip them over. When you wound them again, they're off the board. So really just trying to push back these zombies, you know, dice-driven combat. Without going too far into the rules, that's kind of the basics on this game. So let's see a little bit more what I thought about the game. So the components in this game, I really like them. They give you a lot of them, a lot of chits, a lot of things to do, a lot of different cards and heroes, zombie, you know, pool or bucket that you get to draw out of. Just a lot of things come in this game. Now, if we talk about the rules and references, also a lot of things that come in this game. They give you 5 rule books. 5 rule books. Just want to point that out there. The references are actually really good in this game. However, 5 rule books, and they do give you, you know, kind of a get it started there. But over the time, you're like, no, let me go. There's a rule book for setup. There's a rule book for basic play, then more advanced play, and then the A to the Z, and then they kind of give you a mini kind of campaign sort of type. But there's a lot in this game, and they kind of introduce it to you slowly. Like I said, the references are good, but the rule books, man, there's rules scattered everywhere. Let's talk about the setup. The setup in this game, most of the games I've been talking about lately have been easy setup. This is not as easy setup. You know, there's a lot of things to set up beforehand. There's a lot of different chits, a lot of, you know, this and that. It may take you 10 to 15 minutes, but the hardest part about bringing this game off the shelf and back to the table is just remembering all the little rules in this game. Table size, this can probably be played on a 3x4, a little cramped, but it takes up a decent amount of table size, especially with the board and all the pieces on the outside. So now let's talk about the gameplay. And the game, you know, for 70 to 80% of itself, kind of almost plays itself with these events. And, you know, as I was going through them, I was saying, here's what you do here, here's what you do here. There's not a whole lot of decisions until you get to the action phase. And as much as I want to give this game some great, thematic presence and everything, the player actions, they're so minimal. They do feel weighty, but man, it feels kind of bad scavenging for goods for a few turns when there are more important things to do, protecting the town center. And I don't know, the gameplay to me, you really have to be into the thematic side to really enjoy and get a lot out of this game. There's a lot of theme. This game is oozing with that movie, theater, kind of zombie, The Walking Dead kind of type, those campy, movies, horror movies. This is oozing with that theme, but the gameplay itself, on your turn, you may have a total of 2 actions from the card. Each person's going to get their own personal action, so you're at 4, and then maybe one of these characters has their own they can do. So 5 actions, and like I said, some of them may just be moving, attacking, or scavenging. And then don't get me started into the healing and trying to, heal your people from the hospital. Your actions get gobbled up real fast in this game. So you feel like you're spending about 70 to 80% time moving the zombies, and the other 20% are your actions. So let's talk about the difficulty a little bit. I do think this game is pretty difficult. So for a 1 to 2 player cooperative game, I say it's on par on the harder difficulties. It's tough to win, which is a good for a cooperative game. When somebody, asks me, how do you like this and this cooperative games? You're like, well, it's nice, but it's tough to get to the table because it's so easy, or we know we're going to win. There's not really a super easy mode. You could play a shorter game with a shorter event deck so they don't, have more turns to rush into you. But this is a tough game. So I'd put this more on the medium to heavier side on the cooperative difficulty. And by the way, you can play against each other as one person as controlling the zombies, but I don't think that's really how this game's supposed to be played. Speaking of the replayability, I'd say the replayability is probably medium. There's a lot of different heroes to choose from, that really save the town. There's a lot of different variable setup to choose from, but you're going to be playing on the same map every time. Once you get to the higher levels, once you get to the more advanced, you do play on the opposite side, where there are 5 lanes for the zombies to go down instead of the 4. But it's still going to be the same sort of game that you're going to be playing. There's, like Marvel Champions, you can choose the villain, but you're going to be playing the same game. This, you're always going to be fighting the zombies every time. So I'd say the replayability is medium. Luck for strategy, though, there is a lot of luck. The dice, you're either going to praise the dice gods or hate the dice gods, and that's just how it's going to have to be in this game. I hate D6 dice system, especially ones that are punishing where if you just miss your actions wasted. That's why I really do appreciate Too Many Bones. Kind of a shout out to them for giving you, when you miss, at least you get bones to give in your reserve. But this, if you miss, it just kind of feels bad. So in the end, is this game good for 2? I do like this game. I would say it's on the lower side of me liking it for 2, though. Like I said, there's not enough decisions to be made with the other person besides, how you're going to spend your 3 to 5 actions on the turn. Everybody has their own personal action, but like I said, sometimes when it's a dice, you roll a 3, you don't even scavenge. It feels very bad. This game, to me, probably shines at 1 player. This is a good solo experience because you get to be in charge of all the decisions. With 2, this is definitely an alpha gamer style game where one person can really take over the game and kind of dictate how the game is going to go. So, as my final thoughts are going to be, this game is oozing with theme. It's just so fun to think of this in the how are these people really going to act? There was one time these Farmingdale Furies, I was on the last turn, they're the roller derby team. They come skating out of nowhere. I thought all they would need to do was withhold, one final zombie. It had a couple health, and what do? I roll a 2, they fail, but in my head, they're coming out of nowhere, and you think they're the heroes in this grand movie, and it's a campy movie. They just get decked by these zombies and eaten, and I just lost the game. But there's a lot of little things throughout the game I could have done, a little bit better, but it comes down to dice and the theme. So if you're really big into the one-player theme, this is a great game, but for a 2-player co-op, my vote is to pass on this one. So really neat solo game if you're into theme, and 2-player, it's a pass for me. So hope you guys enjoyed the review, and until next time.